Hey everybody, today we have Risk Star Wars Original Trilogy Edition. I have several copies of these. I picked this one up for $20. Um, I keep picking them up mainly for honestly, I keep picking them up to try to get pieces. This is just pieces I found of this game. And the reason I keep getting into pieces is because I want multiple Death Stars. Now, why I want multiple Death Stars? It's actually a pretty good question. And a long time ago, I had this idea. Like the very first time I got this Risk game, I had this idea that then I got the Clone Wars edition too, right? Which I created my own little combination Risk game of the two, where you started the Clone Wars and then you switched to this one. But I also created a like time travel version of Risk where you did a Star Wars Risk where you had this version and you had the Clone Wars version and you had them together, and the planets that were the same on this version and the planets that were the same on the other version, you could somehow travel through time to attack each other. It was just a fun little idea. Anyway, the reason why I want multiple Death Stars, excuse me, and the cards, of course, that allow you to blow up planets for the Death Stars, is because I thought maybe it would be cool if in the Clone Wars, if the clone trooper factions could build their own Death Stars. And I thought it would maybe be pretty cool, or came with their own Death Star. I mean, Death Stars. The Death Star is the secret plans that the clone that are part of the secret plans that the Separatists are building. So I thought maybe it'd be cool to have the Separatists either build one, and then both factions of Separatists be able to build one. That would be two. So I need two Death Stars for those two factions. Then I need the two, and then I need if the rebellion, not the rebellion, but the clone troopers, if they found the secret plans, the Republic found the secret plans, then maybe the clone army should be able to build again two Death Stars. That would be two more, so that'd be four for that faction. And then this game only has two Death Stars for the Empire. So what if the rebellion decided to be all gung ho and badass and somehow, I don't know, built their own Death Stars just out of curiosity, and they had the same power and ability that the Empire had. Just and we just throw that in the game, and now all hell breaks loose because every faction has a freaking Death Star, and all of them can blow up stuff, and all of them can use the second Death Star card to build a second Death Star, so or a third Death Star or whatever. And what the hell? What if the Hutts, in this particular case, the Hutts, what if the Hutts could build a Death Star? Well, that's the reason why I like to buy this game, just to try to get the Death Star for pieces and other pieces. Because, hell, what would go on if a galaxy had like multiple factions? Now, also, I like to try to buy the Micro Machines Star Wars figures because I use them for leaders, but I also like to use them for additional factions. Like they had a Gungan pack from Star Wars Micro Machines collection, and that pack, and then they have, you can use those figures for different factions, and thus have more factions in the game, which I thought was cool. Like they could be neutral factions, where they're all stationed on, you know, Alderaan or whatever, because isn't that where the Gungans are located? Alderaan, or wherever Princess. No, Naboo. Why am I saying Alderaan? Anyway, Naboo. If you find, and heck, just out of curiosity, just for fun, you could get those type of figures and put them all on the board on that one planet, and then to take over that planet, it's a neutral faction. So you could have some planets that are just there, and they fight to the last man, regardless of who attacks them, and make like make like one planet in every like region or sector or whatever they call them in this game. Make them like make at least one region controlled by a neutral faction, and that way like you can't just conquer regions so easy, because or sectors or whatever, because you have to destroy like a group of like 10 armies in a territory that don't give a heck who's attacking them. They're all going to defend to the last man, like mercenaries of some sort, or not necessarily mercenaries, but like homegrown troops. Like, you ain't taking my planet. We're neutral, and we don't care who side you're on. We're not supporting anybody's side, and we've truly separated, and are like, we're staying out of this war, and if you come, we're gonna fight you. Something like that. Anyway, just some cool ideas to shoot at you. It was 25, but I gave 20. But like I said, I have several of these copies, so I don't really need. I don't. The only thing I really need, to be honest with y'all, is the are the pieces. I do not need this board. Matter of fact, when I get my own house one day, I'm probably just going to take a bunch of boards that I have double copies of. Quit. And yeah, I'm probably just going to take a bunch of boards that I have double copies of, and pretty much use them as wallpaper, I guess, because I don't know what to do with these. Maybe when I get my own game store, put extra boards on the wall in the spaces that I, have to put extra boards. Just find something to do with them. Anyway, there's Wild Space, there's the Elrod sector, there's Icing Corridor, there's Core Worlds, there's the Outer Rim over there, there's Mid Rim. Comment down below, I don't know, some Risk games that you'd like to see done. Basically, they made a Mass Effect Risk, and Mass Effect Risk is basically this Risk, but in the Mass Effect universe. It pretty much has the exact same rules. The locations are a little different. Has 5 factions just like this one. I think it adds the element of leaders, but I think that's the only thing it adds. But it pretty much also takes the same concept of a Death Star, but in their case, it's the Hive or something. The that's attacking. That works like a Death Star. It's a lot bigger than the Death Star in this game, so that's pretty cool. But it pretty much works exactly like a Death Star in this game, where you can blow up, planets and whatnot, and it can get attacked and blown up. And then, of course, it has that fifth faction, which pretty much has the same thing. If you look at the Mass Effect, which I have somewhere, I'll have to show y'all one day, but if you look at the Mass Effect game, it has this pretty much has the same thing that this has. It has a resource planet system for the fifth faction, just like the Hutts have, and it has instead of a force meter, it has a who's winning the war better. That I forget the name of the force, but the side that has that giant insect hive thing. Anyway, pretty cool. This game also has these individual ships. These tokens are pretty cool. Each faction has 3 of each one. They allow special abilities. One is +1 on all. One is no ones, so don't add those. The next one is +1 on all on one die, and then another one is you can roll the the 8-sided die. Apparently, this game looks like it is missing one 8-sided die. Also has these asteroid tokens because you can, of course, blow up planets. You have the Rebel faction here, you have the Hutt faction here, and you have the Empire faction there, which is the same as these. I'm not sure if I bought a whole game and just took these out, or if I found these somewhere. For some reason, I have stickers on some of these, which have the Decepticon logos on them. I don't know why I did that, but okay. I did it, so. Next up, of course, is you have these cards. Each faction has cards, which you collect these cards if you conquer a planet, I think, and you have a certain amount of them, and you can use these cards to do special abilities. You can use them to either trade them in for troops, like you can trade in a fighter, a bomber, and apparently the Hutt's missing some of their cards. No, they're not. They're just my bad. They're just mixed up. You can trade one of each ship in for. There's different ways to trade. It tells you in the rules. Probably skipped over those. I didn't look at them myself, but So what you can do with these cards is they have 3 different abilities. You can trade them in for that ship. You can use 3 cards to trade in for troops. They can either be 3 fighters, 3 of the same ship, or they can be 1 of each ship. Or you can use them, which I personally like to use them after, of course, traded in for the ships, is I like to use them for their special abilities. So you got minefields, spies, bounty hunters. So this would be the Hutt faction. Money is power, a better offer, blackmail, uprising, ruse, local resistance, which is they had a Micro Machines Tusken Raiders set too, and Tusken Raiders weren't just on that one planet. They also had a Micro Machines Jawas set. Retreat, the Sarlacc Pit, Wretched Hive, Death Mask, slaves, So that's another thing that's pretty cool about some of these risk games is their cards. They allow you to do stuff. That's one of the things I liked about adding things to risk. So here's these 2 Rebels cards. Here'd be the Rebels cards. Yeah, I'm just going through them real fast. Because I did that like 7 minute intro, maybe y'all listened. And here are the Empire's cards. They have like movie stills from the original trilogy movies. Pretty cool. There's also another version of Star Wars Risk, but it's basically, which I also have, and I don't know if I've done unboxings of these, of any of the Star Wars version Risks, or any of the Risks actually, which maybe I should go find my Risk games and go do some unboxings for you guys of the various different Risk games that already do exist, because they do exist, which might be something I will do in the future. But honestly, I have so much other things to do for the channel that it's just getting around to doing it. Just getting around to doing all the various different things that I really need to get done is something else. You see that I do not actually like these plastic containers, so I always just put them in something else. Anyway, that was the game. Remember, God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. Keep on gaming. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Jesus love you, Jesus God. Jesus Lord, Jesus King, Jesus ruler, everything. And have a great, wonderful day. Comment down below what you think about some of those ideas that I did. Came up with also came up with some other ideas, like the idea of combining multiple Risk games together. Certain ones work together, like if they're set in the same type of period. Like, for example, the Lord of the Rings game Risk and the Game of Thrones Risks could be kind of merged, because you could claim that they're that they're that the Lord of the Rings map is just another island in the same world, and no one knew that, or something. Uh, or like the Mass Effect game that I was telling you about and the Risk games kind of can go together because both have planets. Yeah. Oh, and you could also actually throw in a Star Trek Risk game too, because there is a Star Trek Risk, and you could actually decide who really is champions, Star Wars or Star Trek. The only thing I don't like about Star Trek Risk is it has the captains facing each other, and there are a lot of planets in that game. They have a lot of planets that are basically neutral factions, and what you have to do is kind of take over those planets. But it's the captains of the 5 different series, because it came out before Discovery. So it's Enterprise, um, TNG, uh, the original series, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. Those captains are all vying for control, and it's some kind of thing Q made him do. So it's weird. I would have gone a different route. Personally, I would have did Star Trek Risk maybe the Dominion War, or Star Trek Risk the Cleon War, or one of the different various wars that went on, where I would have factions like the Cleon faction, the Federation faction, the Romulan faction, the Dominion. I would have did it that method. I would have went that method. They went more of a legacy-ish method, but not a legacy game-ish method. Just more like a, let's just make a Risk game for Star Trek so that we can sell copies, because Star Trek has so many fans and whatnot. You know, It was more of done of anniversary type thing than an actual made it to be a risk game. It's not a bad game. I just would have did it different. That's just what I'm saying. Anyway, later.